So I suspected for a while that my wife of 20 years, with whom I have 2 kids, has been cheating. Since the beginning of the year, she has been very distant and disengaged. She's always on her phone, in particular on WhatsApp. She has a close male friend, an old work colleague, who has gone through a health scare this year. And she's been by his side the whole way, every single night, and most days at the hospital, and his home, coming home super late each night. I started to get suspicious in March when I couldn't reach her. When she's there, she doesn't answer her phone. She said he's a good friend, and I'm jealous, and she has continued to spend lots and lots of time with him. I fear this was a deeply emotional affair, possibly lasting years. By the way, I've never met him once. The kids and her mother have, though. I couldn't shake the suspicion. My gut kept telling me something wasn't right. She was super disengaged with me, not physically or cuddly in any way at all. She came out and said she wanted a 3-month separation around April, and I said no, we should work on things. But we never worked on anything. I could never talk to her about anything deep. There are countless other red flags other than hiding her phone, changing the password, deleting messages from her friend on WhatsApp, and using cash all the time, where she used to use a card so we could accrue frequent flyer points for holidays. Anyway, she asked about a separation again in July, and I said yes, but she didn't take action, making it seem like I should look around for a place for her. I don't think that's my responsibility. So I said that was for her to do. Just over a week ago, she said we should separate for good, both 3 months, as she always feels anxious around me. My radar has been up lately, and I'm constantly anxious around her. Funny she would say that. So, I know 100% she wants out. She said she doesn't love me anymore. But she wants to separate with us, still being friends, and she doesn't want the money, etc. We've been getting along okay for the last few days, probably because I've been away for work this week. And she knows that the end is near. Fast forward to today, and I was having a shower and going to grab some nail clippers. I saw a toiletries bag in the cupboard, and my curiosity was piqued. So I opened it, and there was a container of massage oil. No idea where it came from. My question is, what do I do? I have kids to think of. My mind is a mess. In some ways, I'm relieved that my gut was right. But then, I'm also disgusted that she's been with someone else. Our marriage hasn't been great for a couple of years, lack of intimacy, but she should have left completely before starting something. I'm sorry if I'm rambling. Feel free to ask questions. I really just need some ideas and guidance on what to do. I know I should confront her, and she will deny it no doubt, but I'm hoping wiser minds can help me out. Update. So, tonight I decided to put a tracker on her car. I mean, I know we are technically now separated for a few days, but hey, my gut still tells me something isn't right. My wife grabbed the keys and told me she was going to the gym. After the gym, she said she was going to grab some drinks. So, I saw the car go to the city, and then after a few hours, it went down to a suburb by the beach and stopped there. I decided to drive down and saw the car parked. I then remembered that my GPS tracker gives me the ability to call it and listen in. Well, let me tell you, when I heard a bit saying something like, "You're amazing," my blood boiled and I just lost it. I stormed up to the car and opened the door and couldn't believe it, but it was her with a mate of mine. Not the guy I thought. I was going to bring this guy into my business. That's how much I trusted him. Needless to say, I yelled at her and him. She was very defensive, saying we were now separated and had been for a few days, but he was so sheepish. It felt good to be in a position of power for once, and now I know my gut is right. She has moved on. She admitted to most stuff, but said it's only been going on for a couple of weeks, which I do not believe at all. This has been going on longer than that for sure. I told her not to come home and that I didn't want her in the house at all, but I can see she's parked the car right near our house. She can stay there as far as I'm concerned. I told the AP that he has 12 hours to tell his wife, or I will. I know their marriage was pretty rocky, but my wife is one of her best friends, so this is going to be devastating for her. I'm from a no-fault state, so I can't use any of this to my advantage, other than now I know why she was so calm about breaking up with me. Update 2. If you read my post history, you'll understand the background. Things are now tenuous as she can't go out in the community to shop and is staying at our place for a couple of nights whilst I'm away on business. She can't go to the shops for the smallest thing. I had to do grocery shopping before I left this morning. Now she wants a drink and there isn't any left. And because she can't go down to the shops to buy a bottle, I'm being blamed for forcing her AP to tell his wife. For some reason, they feel that it would have been easier if it had been done in a couple of months, as they had a plan of both separating from their spouses and then having some time before announcing anything. Not that it would have done any good. The question is, how do I keep my cool whilst trying to separate assets, etc., and not firing back responses that will inflame the situation? Such as, well, you shouldn't have screwed one of your best friend's husband in the first place. She won't take any responsibility at all for this whole debacle. She could have just left our relationship with dignity and maybe found herself for a while. But she didn't do that. I feel completely helpless in this scenario. I'm the one bending over and taking this and not giving anything back at all. We have kids involved. She is always going to be like this. I just want to be as calm as possible and create an environment where we are both caring for the kids in the long run. Final update. So, I kicked out my wife a couple of weeks ago for cheating on me with her best friend's husband. See my post history for details. Anyway, she told me she wasn't borrowing her father's car anymore, so she can't help drop our son off at school, and she said she isn't living with AP. Yet I drove past a mutual friend's place, where she has been living, and I found her father's car and his car there. I'm proceeding with divorce as quickly as I can, but it incenses me that I keep getting lied to. I'm still emotionally invested in her. How do I detach myself and get rid of this psychotic liar? I was all happy to do 50-50 before, but now I'm not sure I should roll over, as she's not a good example for the children. Do they need to see him now as their father and know what she's truly like? I'm sorry you're going through this, OP. You have to give it time. You'll get over her in due time. Focus on your children and move on with a divorce. I hope you find someone who's going to truly love you soon. I'm sorry for the pain you're in and the pain ahead. I can almost guarantee that your life will improve dramatically once you make your decision and process all of the ensuing grief. You've taken all the necessary actions to get yourself out of infidelity. It's a cliche, but time is needed to make your heart catch up with your brain. Stick to strict NC, except for kids. Look for reasons to not contact and not the opposite. Don't go looking for information about her whereabouts or what she's doing. Not your concern anymore. Keep being who you are. If she needs you to pick up the kids, do it. If she can't spend time with the kid because she's too busy, help out and take the kid. If it becomes standard, so much the better. Record it, you're done with her. Now, let's get into today's second story. We've been together for over a year. My girlfriend, 21, and father, 54, sat me, 23, down last week to tell me they had a week-long affair a couple of months ago. They only had sex 3 times, they said. And after the 3rd time, they said they both felt extremely guilty and mortified by their actions. They've been wanting to tell me since then, but didn't have the heart. I always knew they got on well, they bonded over many shared interests, but I never saw this coming. I feel completely sick. I haven't eaten hardly anything since they told me. I haven't officially broken up with her yet, but it's obvious as I haven't responded to any of the texts or calls she sent. When they first told me, and after it had sunk in, I left and haven't said a word to anyone outside of work since. I've been a total ghost to my whole family and friend group. My dad and I are very close. For my whole life, I've looked up to him. He and my mom divorced when I was a teenager, but they've been very friendly to each other, which made the process so much easier. I want to forgive my dad. But if my girlfriend had cheated on me with another person, I would easily cut them both off. And in a weird way, my dad has hurt me so much more by doing this than she has. I could get over a cheating girlfriend. But my relationship with my father, a relationship I cherished, is destroyed, and it's his fault. My question is this: should I forgive my father? How can I forgive him? Should I tell my mom or brother? Would I be cruel for completely cutting him off, which is what my heart is telling me to do? Update. A bit has happened since then, but I'll try to be brief to avoid a wall of boring text. So I told my mom and brother, as everyone suggested. My mom was heartbroken, and we talked for a few hours. She told me she was not surprised. When they were married, she suspected him of having inappropriate contact with students. My dad is a handsome man, and she told me many girls would give him that kind of attention. She did not know if he was unfaithful for certain, though. My brother took it as I expected. He blamed my ex and told me I should date less slutty women. I feel like this is missing the point of whatever. I can't stand that guy anyway. For the following week after I dumped my ex, she would call and text me a lot. The gist was basically she loved me, and I should forgive her because she made a mistake but hates herself for it. She told me it was just sex, and that she wanted to fulfill her fantasy of having sex with an older male teacher before we got married. I didn't respond to any of these messages or return her calls. I hadn't heard from my dad until a few days ago when he came by to reconcile. He let himself in as he had a key, and we talked. He told me about how the affair started with them flirting a little. Eventually, they had sex. He said while they had sex 3 times, only the last time was actual penetrative sex. The first 2 times weren't. He told me this like I was going to be relieved they only did it once. In reality, I was horrified now that a detailed picture was in my mind. I asked him if he had been in contact with my ex. He said yes, and that they'd had dinner a few times as friends because he was worried about her. According to my ex, I was emotionally torturing her, and my dad believes he's responsible for her. I told him I would not have a relationship with him ever if he kept in contact with her. He said I was his son and that he would be in my life regardless. I just held my tongue. He then told me it was shitty to tell my mom and brother like I was going to ruin his reputation. I was done. So I just nodded and apologized. I know that was cowardly, but I didn't want an argument. That was a few days ago. I haven't told anyone else other than my immediate family. I still don't know whether to totally cut contact with my dad. Part of me does, and part of me doesn't. OP, it sucks that you're going through this. Your ex is a horrible person. Even if she had a fantasy, she could have done it with someone else other than your father. And your father is a horrible person too. I know you won't be able to cut contact with him, but try and start away for a bit. What he did was selfish, and he hurt you way too much for you to act as if nothing happened. I'm happy the lady is now your ex because you honestly deserve so much better. It will get better. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoyed listening, please feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, comment below with your thoughts on today's stories. Take care, everyone.